Welcome back to the unrevealed realities, a place where shadows breathe, where unspoken kindness quietly bends the weight of the world, where ordinary people hide extraordinary stories beneath dust, noise, and anonymity. In secret chapters, we step into the unseen corners of life, discovering moments that never make headlines, yet change everything. And today, our story begins before the sun itself wakes. It's 5:42 a.m. The city is still half asleep, wrapped in the pale gray of a growing dawn. Vendors are setting up their carts, the first buses groan along the broken roads, and the fog sits heavy on the narrow lanes leading toward the government hospital, a place where desperation arrives long before daylight. The camera glides through the cold air, weaving past lines of exhausted faces already forming outside the worn gates. Patients clutch X-rays in trembling hands, mothers hold feverish children close, old men lean on rusting railings, and everyone waits with the same silent fear: will today be the day we finally get help? And then, we see him. An elderly man, thin, stooped, wearing a faded sweater and carrying an old, scratched phone in one hand, a tiny stool in the other. He slows as he approaches the crowd, his breath visible in the morning chill. But his eyes, calm, steady, and strangely warm, scan the suffering in front of him with the familiarity of someone who has stood here for far too long. He does not work here. He is not a doctor, nor a guard, nor a hospital employee. He has no official tag, no desk, no uniform, no authority. And yet, as he quietly sets down his stool beside the rusted gate, the entire line shifts. People begin stepping aside respectfully. Hands raise. Voices call out softly, "Baba Ji aage, he's here, now we'll get through. Without him, we would be lost." No announcement, no introduction, just unmistakable relief. He sits, opens the cracked phone, and begins. The first patient approaches, a man in his 30s, coughing heavily, clutching a prescription. Baba Ji listens, nods slowly, and begins typing into the government registration app with surprising speed. Name, ID, disease category, department, token request, submit, a soft ding, token number 14. He turns the phone to the patient. "Your turn will come soon. Sit in the shade, don't tire yourself." The man almost cries from gratitude. Next, a worried mother with a toddler burning with fever. Next, a student who fractured his foot and cannot stand for long. Next, a laborer who has no idea how to use a smartphone. And the old man does it all: the registrations, the forms, the tokens, the online queues that most people here don't even know exist. A man passes by and whispers to the camera, "If he wasn't here, we would be waiting 2 or 3 days. We didn't even know these online forms existed until he started helping us. He became our hope." But why does he do it? And how did he become the quiet guardian of this chaotic place? The camera stays close as his fingers move across the screen, slow but determined, shaky but precise. Every few minutes, he rubs his eyes, stretches his stiff neck, and straightens the papers that people place in his lap. Yet there is no irritation, no impatience, no sign that he wants to be anywhere else. Just steady, purposeful kindness. And the unspoken truth that he will remain here until the entire line is done. As morning breaks into a full, bustling day, the hospital courtyard transforms. The crowd swells, voices rise, the sun climbs higher, revealing sweat on foreheads and desperation in eyes. Guards shout to maintain order. Newly arriving patients push through the masses, waving documents and prescriptions, terrified they will lose their chance. But at the small stool near the gate, there is still calm. He works with the rhythm of someone who has mastered chaos. He double-checks spellings, confirms birth dates, repeats instructions to elderly patients who struggle to hear. He explains departments, timings, and procedures with a teacher's patience. He takes pictures of medical reports on his old phone to attach with forms. He waits for the hospital's slow server to respond, not complaining even as minutes stretch painfully long. Sometimes he stands to help someone who cannot bend. Sometimes he kneels to reassure a child. Sometimes he lifts a trembling hand to guide a signature. And always, he refuses money. Every time someone tries to slip a note into his hand, he smiles softly, gives it back, and says, "Pray for me." That is enough. But beneath his gentle smile, the camera sees something else: tiredness. A heaviness around the eyes. The kind of exhaustion that comes from carrying the weight of hundreds of strangers every single day. No one knows when he started coming. No one knows his real name. No one knows what his own life looks like. To the people here, he is simply Baba Ji. The man who shows up when no one else does. The man who stays until everyone gets their token. But today, the documentary follows behind him. Today, we go deeper. Hours pass. The sun grows harsh. Sweat drips from foreheads. People shield their eyes with papers. Guards call out token numbers through megaphones. Wheelchairs roll past the gate at uneven speeds. And Baba Ji still sits. But the camera catches something the crowd misses, a small tremor in his left hand. The way he leans forward slightly more than usual. How he pauses longer between registrations. How his breathing becomes heavier, slower. Something is wrong. A woman in her 60s approaches him, worried. Are you okay? Should you rest? He smiles, shaking his head. I'll rest when the line ends. But the line never ends. Children in school uniforms arrive with their parents. Women holding newborn babies join the queue. An old man clutching his chest walks toward him, gasping. And Baba Ji keeps typing. Every moment, every face, every request, he carries them all silently. By noon, his voice is softer. By 1 p.m., he wipes sweat from his forehead more frequently. By 2 p.m., his frail body begins to tremble under the heat. Yet he refuses to stop. The camera pulls closer, capturing the strain in his expression, the grit in his eyes, and the stubbornness of someone who seems to be fighting not just exhaustion, but something deeper. Something older, something heavier than the heat of the afternoon. At 3:15 p.m., the sun begins to descend. Shadows lengthen across the hospital wall. The chaos slowly thins as the last few patients come forward. Baba Ji completes his final registrations, stands slowly from his stool, and stretches his back with visible pain. Then he picks up the stool, and begins walking away. But today, unlike every other day, the documentary follows. He walks down a narrow alley, past chai stalls, past the smell of frying samosas, past mechanic shops and fruit carts. His steps are small, careful, and heavy. He stops twice to catch his breath. He coughs hard into his sleeve. He looks weaker than before. This is the side no one sees. He reaches a tiny rented room, barely large enough for a bed and a small table. The paint on the walls is peeling. The fan creaks overhead. Stacks of old medical papers lie on the floor beside worn-out shoes. There is no family waiting. No helper. No second pair of hands. No one to ask how his day was. He unlocks the door, steps inside, and sits on the bed, not with relief, but with a long, lonely sigh. His chest heaves as he finally lets himself breathe freely, without people watching. He pulls out a small notebook from under his pillow. It is filled with handwritten names, hundreds of them. Names of patients, names of families, names of people he helped. The camera zooms in on one page titled simply, "Those who prayed for me." This is his treasure. Not money, not praise, not recognition, just prayers. He sets the notebook aside, closes his eyes, and leans back against the wall. His breathing is rough, uneven, but there is a faint smile on his face, the kind of smile that only appears when someone knows they spent the day exactly where they were meant to be. Outside, the sun sets. The city lights flicker on. The hospital continues its chaotic rhythm. And as darkness settles over the streets, tomorrow waits. Another dawn, another crowd, another line of desperate faces searching for hope. And he will be there. Because he always is. This is where part 1 fades. Not ending, but preparing, because tomorrow holds answers. Tomorrow holds truths. Tomorrow holds the secret he never told anyone. And tomorrow is where the story turns. The next morning arrives before anyone has fully noticed the night fade. 5:03 a.m. The streets are quieter than usual. Fog rolls along cracked pavements, catching the first rays of dawn like thin threads of silver. The city seems unaware of what is about to unfold at the government hospital gate. But one man knows. He walks with deliberate steps, carrying his old stool, a bag containing worn-out pens, papers, and the tiny, scratched phone that has become his lifeline, and the lifeline of hundreds each day. He adjusts the strap across his shoulder, lifts his chin against the chill, and approaches the same gate he has guarded for years. By the time he reaches it, the first patient has already arrived, a teenage boy clutching a torn prescription, limping slightly. The boy looks up, hope and fear mingling in his eyes. "Sir, can you help me get a token?" Baba Ji kneels slightly, guiding the boy's hand to the phone. Fingers shake as he navigates the registration app. The screen freezes. Baba Ji hums softly under his breath, tapping, scrolling, restarting, patience woven into every motion. 10 minutes pass. And then, the soft chime, token generated. The boy exhales, a tension leaving his body he didn't know he carried. Thank you, sir. Babaji nods quietly, a small smile touching his lips. Go, wait for your number to be called. And the line grows. Faster than yesterday, longer than any ordinary hour could hold. Mothers, fathers, laborers, children, elderly patients, a flowing river of humanity stretching far past the gate. Some stumble, some shuffle, some drag themselves forward, but all converge toward him. No one pushes, no one shouts. They wait, because they know he will not fail them. By 7 a.m., the camera captures a subtle shift. The old man's rhythm is no longer smooth. His fingers tremble as he taps, his back aches as he leans over forms, and sweat dampens the collar of his sweater despite the cool morning. But still, he doesn't stop. A young mother approaches, cradling her newborn, eyes swollen from worry. Sir, my baby has fever. I don't know how to register online. Babaji takes the infant in one arm briefly, examining the mother's documents with the other. He fills the form, double-checks details, corrects minor errors, and finally generates a token. He hands the phone back. The mother clutches her baby, whispering a prayer into the tiny chest, tears streaking down her cheeks. And Babaji remains silent. No applause, no words of praise, just the faintest nod, the slightest acknowledgement that his day's work continues. As the sun climbs higher, the hospital gate becomes a furnace. People shield themselves with papers, flap thin cardboard to create shadows, or crouch in the meager shade provided by walls and signboards. But no one complains. They do not need to. Because someone is ensuring that the system bends for them, at least for today. Around 10 a.m., a sudden commotion. The server crashes. The system freezes. Screens flicker. Tokens halt. People murmur, frustration rising like steam from boiling water. The queue ripples with anxiety. A man shouts. A woman begins to cry. And in the middle of this chaos stands one small figure, seemingly insignificant, until you look closer. Babaji doesn't panic. He leans closer to the phone, inspecting connections, switching SIM cards, turning on a small portable hotspot, whispering instructions into the ears of the helpless. Wait, just a moment, yes, the screen will refresh, no, don't worry, we'll try again. Minutes stretch like hours. And then, slowly, the chime returns. Tokens start generating again. The line exhales. Gratitude floods faces, but Babaji barely notices. He is already moving on to the next person. Around noon, a curious journalist approaches, notebook in hand. Sir, can I ask, why do you do this? Who are you really? Babaji pauses, a faint shadow crossing his face. His eyes flicker toward the bustling crowd. I am nobody, he says softly. I have no power, no money, no title, but here, people need help. And if I can do this, even a little, why would I stop? The journalist nods, sensing that no further answers will come. This is not a man who speaks of himself. This is a man who exists through others. By 1:30 p.m., the sun is unforgiving. Sweat runs down foreheads, paper forms stick to palms, and the dusty ground radiates heat. Babaji sits on his stool, legs cramped, eyes tired. Yet the line continues to grow. New arrivals join at the end, unaware of the invisible hands that have been pulling the system together for hours. A teenage girl stumbles, clutching her brother's wrist. Sir, please, he needs a token. He can't stand long. Without hesitation, Babaji leans, helps the boy fill the form, explains how the number will be called, and gently pats the girl's shoulder. Small gestures, infinite impact. Around 3 p.m., an elderly man approaches. His legs are unsteady, his breath short. Babaji immediately recognizes the urgency. He fills out the form with extreme care, double-checking every field. The old man's token finally generates. May God bless you, son, he says, voice cracking. Babaji merely nods. The exchange is over, but the weight of unspoken connections lingers in the air. At 4 p.m., the crowd thins, leaving only the last few stragglers. Some cannot stand, some are exhausted, and some simply wait for the comfort of acknowledgement. Babaji moves among them, checking details, correcting mistakes, guiding hands. His back aches sharply, a small cough escapes him, but he continues. The camera captures a moment unseen by most. A child trips over a stone. Babaji is instantly there, steadying the boy, brushing dust from his uniform, whispering a few words to calm him. The child looks at him with wide eyes, as if seeing a hero from a storybook. And in that moment, he is won. 5:15 p.m., the final token is issued. The last patient thanks him, bows slightly, and steps forward. The line is over, but the sun is still high enough to make shadows long and the day heavy. Babaji rises slowly, packs his stool, gathers his papers, and begins the walk home. Every step deliberate, measured. The camera follows close, catching every pause, every breath. He passes streets alive with evening traffic, vendors packing up their stalls, children running home from school. Occasionally, someone spots him, waves, whispers, "Babaji," a small smile flickers. The recognition is silent but profound. At home, the tiny room waits. The peeling paint, the creaking fan, the stacks of old papers, the small diary under the pillow. He sits, finally, releasing the weight of hours compressed into motion, care, and service. Opening the diary, the camera zooms in on dozens of names, hundreds of tokens issued, lives momentarily stabilized. Each entry is precise, neat, almost ritualistic. This is more than record-keeping, it is a chronicle of human dependency, trust, and fleeting hope. He writes today's total: 187 patients helped. He writes a small note next to it: "Pray for me." Outside, night falls. Streetlights flicker, the city hums, and somewhere far away, a mother prays for her child, a laborer thanks the sky for a number that allows him treatment, a student limps to a waiting classroom of life. And he simply closes his eyes. But even in sleep, the story continues. For tomorrow, another line will form. Another crowd will seek him. Another 100 lives will pass through the quiet hands that refuse recognition, money, or reward. This is not a story of heroism in the traditional sense. It is a story of presence, perseverance, and quiet insistence on human dignity. It is a reminder that extraordinary acts often hide in plain sight, in the smallest gestures that most would ignore. When asked why he continues, Babaji answers simply: "Because someone must. And if it's me, then let it be me." The camera pans over the empty hospital gate. A single stool remains folded near the entrance. Papers flutter in the wind. The line will return tomorrow. And so will he. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, make sure to subscribe, share, and stay connected for more hidden chapters, more silent heroes, more ordinary people performing extraordinary acts, only here, on the Unrevealed Realities.